Hi, I'm Cheryl Brunette, and today we're going to begin our exploration of single stitch selvage edges. Here's the sampler I made to illustrate your selvage stitches today, and this is the legend behind it. I started with stockinette stitch, regular. I knit the knits and purled the purls. This is something that I like to use in my seaming up because it's very easy for me to see the connecting threads between the last two stitches. So that you're used to that, you've seen that. Notice that this edge is longer than this edge. That's because I used a 2-stitch wide garter border to keep it from rolling. I did steam this, by the way. I didn't block it really hard. I didn't wet block it or pin it. So the shorter row gauge for the garter stitch pulled that up, and it's most pronounced in this section, the smallest, the end section, because it was able to pull it up. In this next section, I changed this end stitch to a regular garter stitch. That is a single stitch. I knit the first stitch of every row, whether I was on this side or the purl side. There it is on the purl side. Here's your stockinette on this side. It kind of looks, it rolls over a little bit so you can see that knit there. This has a little series of beads. They're almost more pronounced on the purl side than they are on the knit side. Again, some people like this because they can see the connecting threads between the two end stitches, and it makes it easier for them to seam. By itself, it will not keep a stockinette edge from rolling. It also does not exert enough pull to shorten this edge, whereas again, this edge is a little bit shorter than that edge over there. This 2 stitches can pull up more. Okay, this third section, I had never tried this before, and it's a very fun little decorative bead. It's a twisted garter stitch. That means that I knit into the back of every beginning and ending row. And it made a larger bead than this regular garter stitch. I thought it was very pretty. I wouldn't put it into a seam personally because you'd have too many bumps. I mean, it really does have some thickness to it there, but wouldn't it be a pretty little edge for a scarf? Okay, so here we have that twisted garter again, and this time I put the twisted garter stitch at the edge of the 2-stitch garter stitch, and notice it widened it out a little bit. This is just regular garter. This is the twisted garter, knit into the back of the end stitch of every row. The beginning and the end stitch, excuse me. Okay, and here we have reverse stockinette stitch. I read about this, that some people like to use reverse stockinette stitch when they're going to do seams. You can see that it makes a knit on the back rather than a purl. In other words, on the right side, I purled these stitches, the end stitches, and on the purl side, I knit the end 2 stitches, this one and this one. And this was a really interesting phenomenon for me because I'd never done it before. It just didn't occur to me to put one reverse stockinette stitch at the edge of my knitting because I'm perfectly happy with regular stockinette. And I got about that far and I went, wait a minute, this edge is longer than this edge. And it turns out this edge was much tighter than this edge. Somehow, when I made the turn with the reverse stockinette stitch, I didn't pull it tightly enough. Now, I don't usually have this problem, and I have had numerous students say to me, why is one of my edges longer than the other? And it has to do with what happened to me. I started this by purling the first stitch, and then I knit all the way across, and I purled the last stitch. And when I turned it, I knit the first stitch. So you have to move the yarn and you have to tighten up that end stitch. And for whatever reasons, when I was not conscious of it, that was a different tension than this end when I purled across, knit the end stitch, flipped it over, and purled the first stitch. So when I got that far, I said, oh, I better compensate for that. So right about there is when I consciously said, okay, I have to tighten up more at this end and loosen up at that end. And so what happened was I ended up with matching gauge. So if you have that problem, you just have to become more conscious of it, and you can always compensate. And it's not that uncommon, by the way. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you took away at least one nugget that will help your knitting, that will make you feel more confident. And as you're learning new things, I would ask you to please be generous with yourself so that you can enjoy the process. Until I see you again, knit a little bit each day. I tell you, it's very good for you. And bye. When we will look at twisted single stitch selvedge edges. No, that's not what they are. They're not twisted. Some of them are twisted, but that's not it. Okay, try again. Quick, before I run out of tape.